everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with, I'm going to say part one of my Q&A. The other day I asked for some questions and I got quite a lot, and you all know I like to talk. So this is definitely going to be split up into two parts, potentially three, depending on when and how and if I have time to film. Today or now is currently feed time, which is how I'm managing to get this video filmed. P is currently eating lunch, so you have to bear with me. Might be quite disturbed, but that's life with children too. I have two children, which is still mental. I've got a banging headache. I've just taken a tablet. I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is so hard. I've got to read questions and all sorts and concentrate on feeding and talking, and I've got an itch on my eye. This is all new to me again. It's been a very long time since I've sat, let alone in my bedroom, filming. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I have filmed, and I don't know, I watched back my... What's wrong? You've got the bottle in your mouth. Yeah, I watched back some of my videos like whilst I was pregnant. Oh, it's just a different world. Completely. Is this not coming out? No, it is. So what's the issue? Yeah, it's just a completely different world. Like, genuinely, it's a different world because of everything that's gone on. It's been an absolute shitstorm. What's wrong? I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just going to sit and talk and answer questions because that is what you are all here for. So let's see if I can multitask. So like I said, I took to my YouTube page. I never take to Instagram for questions. I don't know why. I just feel like the majority of my viewers are on YouTube, although I probably would get more on Instagram, but hey ho. So I've got a mix of like lockdown stuff about myself, obviously stuff about P, about Florence, and then like general like interests and stuff. Let's start off with a nice easy one, which is how do we choose Florence's name and what do we call her? Right, I need to put this notepad down now. There we go. So Florence was a name that I liked when I was pregnant with P, but it was never really a contender just because I preferred other names more. And then when I fell pregnant, didn't really have any like preference of names at all. It took me quite a long time to even start thinking and talking about names. I don't know why. And I remember I was about 17-18 weeks pregnant, so it was obviously a couple of weeks before my gender scan, and I don't know whether I was on my own or I was talking to Ellie, I can't remember. I was thinking I really like the name Florence, like I think it's really pretty. It's not uncommon, but it's also not too popular. It's a name that's out there and you know it, but it's not like overused, and I really liked it. I thought it went really well with Phoebe, obviously Phoebe and Florence, Phoebe and Flo, Florrie, you know, all the abbreviations. So that's another thing that I really like and look for within names, is names that can be abbreviated. If you watched my baby names I liked but won't be using video, my top ones for Florence was Martha. I look at her now, I never thought a baby would like not suit a name. I never really understood that, but I look at her and I think, oh my god, like you would not be a Martha. But I look at P and I think she could be. I still absolutely love that name, but I'm really glad that I didn't choose it. I also really liked Tabitha, Tallulah, I can't remember the other ones. They were the ones that I really liked. I look at her and I think they're not your name. So Florence I had in my head probably from like 20 weeks, let's say. And it was one that Neil hated all names. He didn't go with any of them. The name he really liked was Megan. I'm not wanting to offend anyone that is A, called Megan, or B, has a child of the name Megan. I just thought it was really random and didn't fit our family at all. Like it wouldn't have fitted our surname or anything like that. So I kept going on for Martha, if not Florence, and he eventually was like, yeah, it's alright. So when Neil says, oh, it's alright, I'm going to run a mile. So Florence was the name, I'd say from like 32 weeks, but we never referred to her as that. It was just baby. And P didn't know the name. And then middle name, that was like to the wire, last minute sort of decision. I really wanted a name, because I knew that Florence would have been the first. I was going along the syllable route. P's name is Phoebe Olivia, so she's got 2 syllables for a first name, 4 syllables for a second name. This is ridiculous. So I wanted to go along the syllable route. Fucking hell. So I wanted a name that was 2 syllables, first name, which is Florence, and then second, like middle name, were to be 4. Honestly, just looking back, I was lying in bed like googling baby girl names to go with it, with Florence, baby girl names, 4 syllables and all of this, and I remember lying in bed like tapping out names. Ridiculous. I spoke to Ellie about it, and I was like, Ivy, and I sort of settled with that. I didn't hate it, didn't love it, it was like, yeah, it's alright. And then I liked Isabel. Neil didn't like that, Ellie didn't like that, and Ellie was like, what about Amelia? And I was like, I do like it and it sounds nice, but it's just too common for me. Yeah, P has the middle name Olivia, which is like number 1. And so we sort of went along the whole Amelia route and found alternatives, and then that's how I found the middle name Ophelia, which is very uncommon and quite poncy, but I quite like that. So that is how she got her name. A very long-winded way to say that I'm nuts and I patted names out on my leg so that they were 2 and 4 syllables. So that is that. And what do we call her? I just call her Florence, which is really weird considering P, Phoebe, I abbreviate to P. I would never call her F, like it doesn't work to me. If I was like writing out a message to someone, I would just put the letter F because it's a lot easier. But actually abbreviating her name, I think as she grows up and she's older, I'll probably call her Florrie. My mum calls her Flo. I think one of my friends calls her Flo. I just love her name. I look at her and I think, I love her name so much. I think it's beautiful. She has a very long name, as do I. We both have a 33-letter name, which is ridiculous because I double-barreled our surname when I got married. So yeah, Florence Ophelia Coaching Mackinder. That is her name and I love it. I've got a couple of questions about school. So the first one was, did P get into her school? And she did. I knew she would because our school is catchment. And so I was really happy to know that she got her place. I feel a little bit hesitant about sending her like full-time in... I don't even know if school's going to be full-time in September, but I feel hesitant about her starting reception with everything that's going on. If you watched my settling P into nursery, like a couple of vlogs that I did, you'll know that I really struggled, P really struggled, and it was a very difficult and dark time. And I'm scared to send her back to school and her not, like her to have those steps back again. I think it's going to be really tricky to like get her back into the environment of school when she knows that it's not normal. I need to burp my child. Can you wind for me? Oh, hello. But yes, she did get into her school and I'm really happy. The support that we've had from her school since everything on lockdown has been next to none. I get phone calls every week. I get so much on Tapestry. If you don't have a child, it might be different where you live. Tapestry is like an online thing where you can send photos and videos to their teachers, and then all of her key workers and stuff can reply and send like video messages back, and it's really lovely and interactive for children. And I would have been devastated if she didn't get into that school, so I'm so thankful, and I can't wait to get back in there and see her teachers and be like, I've had my baby and P's a big sister, and I can't wait for everything to, I'm gonna say go back to normal, but I'm not being naive. And then talking of school, I got a question about, will I be sending P to school and how do I feel about it? Now this is going to be very 50-50 split down the middle, and what works for me might not work for you, vice versa. So I wasn't going to answer it because I don't want to get negative comments. I'm not saying that I will, but I also don't want people to have like a not nice opinion of me. But like I said, what works for some people doesn't work for me, vice versa. So I will be sending P to school. I have applied for her place and she will be going back. And I just think it's beneficial for her. Obviously, I know she has a younger sibling now, but Florence, look at her, she's falling asleep. I need you to burp. Right, let's pop you up here and you'll probably wind. There we go. P doesn't have any child interaction, and I can imagine a lot of people that only have one child. At the moment it sort of feels like that because Florence isn't really interacting at all. Of course she's not, she's 2 months old. P hasn't socialised or been with another child when I'm filming this for 10 weeks. 10 weeks! Can we just take a minute to understand how much time that is for a child to just be with her mum in the house and garden and woods? 10 weeks. 10 weeks. I can't. I'm gonna look back on this time in like 2 years time and think, Jesus Christ, we went through a lot. She needs that interaction. She misses school so much, and she only did 2.5 days at nursery, but she misses it so much and she's so ready for it. She's asking me to do things that I don't know how to teach her. I'm not a teacher, I'm a parent, and I get through life and I am raising her, but I don't know how to make her thrive. I don't know how to provide that. Yes, okay, I get tasks and stuff on Tapestry from her teachers and support, and obviously there's everything online. But I also have a newborn to worry about, and a house to clean, and myself and my mental health, and that's one thing that I have really struggled with. God, I'm hot. It's literally like Groundhog Day, and it's so hard, and I wish people on Instagram would bloody talk about how hard it is or how much their children are driving them insane. Don't get me wrong, I love P to bits, and she has stepped into her role of a big sister so well. Everything happened at once for her. Florence was born on the 19th of March and school shut down on the 20th. She has had to deal with so much, and so we all have. And I don't just mean myself and Neil, I mean the whole bloody world has had to deal with this. But I feel like it's right for P to send her back. If I didn't think it was safe, then I wouldn't be doing so, obviously. Her school has put so many implications into play, and I don't know whether what our school is doing is similar to what everyone's doing in the UK, if it's like a government like guideline sort of plan scheme. I speak to a lot of my friends on book club, which they're dotted all over the UK, and a lot of their schools have got like the same sort of enforcements that are going to be rolling out. So at P's school it's only going to be 2 full days, so she'll either be doing a Monday and a Tuesday or a Wednesday and a Thursday, and she will be in a bubble of children. So it will range from like 8 to 15 children. There'll be 2 staff within that bubble, and they will be that. So when P goes to school, she might not be in her normal classroom, she'll be in a different classroom, but who she's with her age group, it will be children in her class. It's not going to be mixed. The children that she will have to interact with, that is it. They are not going to merge with any other children. They will be eating within the classroom. There's going to be as much outdoor play as possible. The staff won't be wearing PPE unless there is a potential like risk of like, I don't know, if someone's developed symptoms and they're showing it within the class, or if a child's hurt themselves and they need to obviously be cautious as to they're going to be spending a lot of time one-on-one with that child, if that makes sense. Everything that I've received in emails, I get updates and stuff all the time from school. I just think schools won't open if it's not safe. The government aren't going to put our young children, this is my opinion, I can imagine it'll get quite political and I don't want it to, but I just don't feel like that the government would, like I see a lot of things on Twitter and that's not a good place to go when they're like, I don't want my child to be a guinea pig. I don't believe that the government would do that. I read online that the risk of getting corona for a child is the same as seasonal flu, and I just think they've got to try it somewhere. We can't stay locked down forever, and if I feel it's unsafe, or if P's unhappy and she doesn't like it and she's distressed, I can say I've tried it and I can pull her out again. If the school doesn't feel like it's safe and it's working, then they'll shut it down and they won't open. It's very like flexible. She doesn't have to wear school uniform because she's outgrown the bloody stuff since she's not been at school. I just think I'd rather try it than not. A lot of key worker children have been going to school and it's fine. Each to their own. I don't want to get backlash for it. I just want to send her. You've got to think, Neil and his job, he deals with the general public and should be at risk at catching something from Neil. So I feel like it's going to benefit her, it's going to benefit me. I have been an awful mum the past. I was fine. I was absolutely fine up to like week 8. And then these last 2.5 weeks, I've started to spiral and I've turned into not a very nice parent. I'm so snappy and I need space as well. Like I want to spend, selfishly, I want to spend time with Florence, just me and her. I haven't had that time. It's one of those and I hope you understand. I'm sure by the time this video goes up, schools are due to open next week when I'm filming this. Is it next? When I'm filming this, this is the May, what is it called? Is it a May like week break? I need to sneeze. Oh, Christ. This is the May break from school before they go back for like the next 6 weeks. So we're just gonna play it by ear. If they open, they open. If they get delayed, it gets delayed. I'm just gonna see. I just need space and P needs time to thrive. I've got so many questions. Let's talk about P. How has P taken to becoming a big sister? She has completely taken it in her stride. She loves Florence so much. She calls her Florence because she can't say like the F-L-O-R, so it's Florence. Oh, she makes me die. She absolutely loves her to bits. I thought that there'd be quite a lot of jealousy with when she sees Neil's the favourite parent, of course he is. I thought she'd get quite jealous when she saw like Neil and Florence like on the sofa having a feed or having a cuddle, but she just gets involved. She like makes sure that we're aware that she's there, and she absolutely loves it. Whenever Florence is sick, she's like, don't worry, Phoebe, big sister on the case, and like she'll go and run and get a muslin, or she'll go and get a bib and like wipe it up for her. And every day she's like, Mummy, can I hold Florence, or can I give her a cuddle, or can I give her a bottle, let me see her poo. Like she's really inquisitive and she absolutely loves it, and that makes me love it even more. I don't have that difficulty. I thought she'd be of the age where it was like, that's my mummy and daddy, not yours. But she's absolutely taken it like a duck to water, and it has gone so well. I feel quite lucky. If you are going through having a newborn and you've got an older or younger child that's struggling, I really feel for you. I couldn't imagine going through that. I think that's made the whole experience a lot easier for me. Like there's not that guilt. I thought I'd feel quite guilty, like if I was sitting down giving Florence a feed for like half an hour and I couldn't be there with P, I thought she'd resent me, and I haven't had that yet. How have we found the age gap between our children? So P was born November 15, Florence was obviously born March 20, so we have a 4.5 year age gap. Age gaps pre-Florence was something I was very, very aware of, and I wanted to get it right. It was something that played on my mind. Like I'd watch influencers on YouTube back when I used to watch a lot of mum vloggers, and I think they've got this age gap, oh I need that because I see how well they work. Oh, they've got this age gap, that works really well for them, I need that age gap. And as time was going, I was really, really worried about it. I was the first person out of all of my friends to have a baby, and then I am the last person of all my friends currently to have baby number 2. I think the most common age gap between my friends is between 2.5 to 3 years age gap, and obviously I've got an extra year on that. I've got 4.5, and it's hard to say because I don't know any different, but I love it. P is of the age where she understands. She can be independent. At the moment she doesn't want to be, and she's literally like my shadow, which is quite annoying, I'm not gonna lie. It's very intense, this whole environment. Are you going back to sleep? You've slept so much today. Yeah, being in this environment is tough in itself, so I have to always remember just to sort of just breathe. It's easier said than done. So 4.5 years for me is ideal. Obviously in September P should hopefully be starting reception full time, so then I get that time with Florence. I don't know how the gap will be as P grows up and Florence grows up. Like, Florence will be into Peppa Pig and P will be into something different, and I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how it's all going to work out when Florence wants to role play and P's probably like on her iPad or reading or doing something. She's like, I don't want to do role play because that's for babies. Like, I don't know how that's going to work, but at the moment, whilst they're small, it's manageable and it works. So for example, if I'm feeding Florence and we're outside, P can go and play on the slide or on the trampoline and keep herself busy. I don't really have to worry per se about P. If there's something wrong, she'll come to me. If she needs something, if she wants something, she'll come to me. I'm not having to baby P because she's a child now. Like, she can go and get her own snack, she can get her own drink. She's very independent in that sort of aspect. She goes to the toilet on her own. So it's easy in that respect. I just don't know how I'm going to find it in a couple of years time, but don't have a choice. She's here now, but I'm really happy with the gap. Really happy. Is Florence easier or harder compared to P? I would say she's easier, but then again, I know what I'm doing. I would say with P, I thought it was really hard, but I don't think that was necessarily P being a difficult baby. I think that was just me not having a bloody clue what I was doing, because I'm not a maternal person. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people absolutely love kids and want to be a teacher or want to get really involved. I'm not like that. Obviously I love my children, but I don't know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? So not being maternal, not having any siblings or ever really dealt with any children prior to my own, then becoming a mum quite young with P. I was 22 when I had her by choice. It wasn't an accident. Yeah, being thrown into the environment, you think you know how it's going to go, and then it just completely does a 180 and you have no clue. That is what I struggled with the most. I wasn't confident. I didn't really know what I was doing and I had to learn on the job. So things that I did with P I haven't done with Florence. So for example, if P fussed, I think I caused a rod off my own back. If P cried, I'd pick her up. And I'm not saying not to do that, but you know when a baby is fussing and crying or like whinging to get comfortable before they fall asleep, as opposed to crying in distress because they want a cuddle. That's definitely something that I've learned having Florence, is that I just understand it more. So I think I was the one that caused the issues that I had with P when she was very small, because I felt like I couldn't leave her alone. It makes me sound like I'm neglecting Florence. I'm not at all. As you can clearly see, she just loves a cuddle. So I think it's just sort of how I handled it then and how I handled it now. Obviously I've got 4.5 years of experience now being a parent, and I've seen all my other friends have children and things like that, and you talk to people, and yeah, it's different this time. I feel more confident in what I'm doing. I wouldn't say that P was a hard baby, because she wasn't. Florence at the moment is a dream, but she might hit 4 months and might turn into a pain in my ass. I just don't know. But currently I feel like I've got my shit together, just about. Okay, a question not baby or children related. I'm gonna have to put you down in a minute, Pop It, because you are very hot and you're making me sweat. Is, what have I been watching during lockdown? First of all, what on earth would I do without Netflix? I can't believe I didn't have my membership for such a long period of time. Netflix is just incredible at the moment. So I have been watching, I watch stuff at different times. So when I have my breakfast, and I do a feed. I normally have about an hour for me to quickly have some toast and a cup of tea and give Florence a feed. That's P's iPad time. That's iPad time like #1 of the day at the moment. She has multiple iPad times. But that's okay. iPad parenting. We're in lockdown. Give a shit. So I've been watching Outer Banks on Netflix, which is incredible. So I saw it advertised and I was like, this doesn't look great. It looks like a TV remake of The Goonies, you know, the film. But I watched it. I watched the first like episode or two and I was hooked. And I've made so many other people watch it. So it basically is set where I used to live. I used to live in the States, and it's filmed in Charleston, South Carolina, and I live just outside of there. And so it's really cool. Like, I don't know, I just really enjoyed that aspect. So it's about these 4 teenagers, and one of the main guys' dad goes missing on the hunt for like some treasure. Sounds awful. There was a shipwreck like 100 odd years ago, and 400 million went down with the ship, and his father was hunting for it for like 20 years. He then went missing, and so it was this teenager's guide to then either find out what happened to his dad or find the treasure and stuff. And it's like clues and stuff that go along the way, and it's all about friendship and adventure and angst, and it was epic. It was 10 episodes long and I smashed it. I finished it last night. There's going to be a series 2, definitely, from how it ended, and it was just so good. I loved the whole friendship dynamic. I love how they all came together and you just didn't know which way it was going to turn. I think back to the first episode and I think back to the last episode, and I think that the stuff that happened in between was just insane. Let me put you down. Please settle. So I absolutely loved Outer Banks on Netflix. What else have I been watching? With Neil, we've watched 2, I'm really light now. We watched the 2 series that's on Netflix of Happy Valley. That's quite an old series. I want to say it's 2014-15, and that's set in, I want to say it's Yorkshire. And I want to say they're 6 episodes long, and they're about this main woman who's a police officer, and a girl gets kidnapped, and it's about how they try and find her and find the guy that did it. Loads of twists and turns in between, and then the second series is not as good as the first, but it's still really enjoyable. So I loved that. And we've also just started Sherlock, which I can't believe I've never watched. So there's 4 series of that, and each series is only 3 episodes long, and they're like an hour and a half long. So they're long episodes, but they're so clever and they're just epic. And I love, again, the relationship and the dynamic between Sherlock and John Watson. And they're just so good, and they just make me laugh. It's like quite dark humour, and I love it. So we've been watching that together. I have been obsessed, again, I watch it every single season, with The Bachelor/Bachelorette. So I've been watching that on ITVB, which again is just, it's not trashy, but it's just so, I just love it so much. If you don't know the concept, there's 2 seasons a year, so there's The Bachelor and then there's The Bachelorette. The lady that doesn't make it in The Bachelor normally then becomes the Bachelorette. Wow, that's a hard word to say multiple times in a sentence. So the current season is Hannah, and she is the Bachelorette, and she basically has like 30 men, and she like goes on dates and group dates, and she finds out her chemistry and things like that, and she figures out and dwindles down each week who she wants to be with and who she wants to date. And then I'm currently now at the point where she's going to go to hometowns with 4 of these men, and each week she'll either lose like 3, 2, and gradually then it goes down to 1, and it's just so good. If you like dating programs, just try The Bachelorette. It makes me smile from ear to ear. I absolutely love that. And then finally, the only other thing that I can think of that has been in here for weeks, and just thinking about it makes me want to cry, because it was the most beautiful thing I have ever watched in my life, and that was Normal People. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's on BBC iPlayer if you're in the UK, and I want to say it's Hulu, Hulu, I think, if you're anywhere else. It's Sally Rooney's book, which came out in 2018. I'm sure you would have seen it if you go to supermarkets. There's an orange cover with 2 people in a sardine tin. I specifically remember that cover. I cannot vocalise, and I'm going to speak about it again in a favourites video that I want to film in the next couple of days. I cannot vocalise to you how beautiful that show was. Like I said, just thinking about it makes me feel emotional. It follows 2 people called Marianne and Connell. They are Irish, and it starts when they are in their last year of 6th form, I believe. So they're 17, 18, and Connell's like a popular guy, and Marianne is like one of the freaks, I guess you would call her, just because she was smart. She was like outcast. And it follows their relationship, their secret relationship, because Connell's mum cleans for Marianne's family. So they know each other like through that, and they start like a secret relationship, and you see them grow throughout quite a poignant time, I can imagine, in like late teen to early 20s life. So they've just finished 6th form at school, and then they go their separate ways, or in like normal situations, like you go to different universities and things like that. So you see them grow and flit in and out of each other's lives throughout university, and obviously university shapes you as a person. It makes you go from like a young teen or a teenager to an adult, and you develop a lot from like that time frame, and you see them grow as people. You see them grow in a like complicated relationship, you see them grow as best friends, and just the way it was filmed, the music choices, like I said, the way it was filmed, the colouring, the editing, the acting, everything was so beautiful and just so poignant. And I feel like when I was watching it, I watched a bit of art. I've watched it twice, I've read the book, it's still here, and I think it will stay with me forever. Like, it was just, if you watched it, you'll know, and if you do watch it and you remember what I say, you'll know what I mean. I felt like I was watching someone's life. I felt like I was intruding in someone's personal like intimate moments. There are sex scenes, and there's just so much to it, and there's so much depth, and I can't fault, like, everything was just perfect. I remember picking up the book, reading it a year or so ago now, and I couldn't get to grips with it, because there's no like real punctuation, like there was no like speech marks or quotations or anything. It was quite difficult to read, so I ended up watching the programme first, reading the book, and then watching the programme again. It is like for like. If you've watched the Hunger Games Catching Fire and you thought that was like for like, this is even more than that. It was beautiful. So if you take anything from this video, go and watch it, and then come back or message me on my Instagram and we can talk about it, because it was beautiful and I loved the ending. I thought it was just perfect. And yeah, that's enough of that, because I could gush about that all day. So they're the things that I have been watching, and I am ticking things off as I talk. Right, my memory card just ran out of battery. No, it didn't run out of battery because it's memory card. My memory card ran out of storage, so I just had to quickly replace that, and I had to get some stuff to 2 more questions. The next one is one that I'm sure the majority of you know the answer to, and that is, will we have baby number 3? No. Not that I haven't enjoyed having Florence, because at this point I see why people have children. But then I remember that she is going to turn into a toddler, and she is going to turn into a 4-year-old, and it's going to be incredibly hard, and that is what I struggle with. I'm happy with 2. We have the space, sort of, in this house for 2. I couldn't imagine having 3. 3 is a different ball game, I think, and it works for us. Yeah, I don't want another one. I don't. No, there is no, I don't think about that. I don't want another one. I'm very happy. I'm very content with my 2 that I've got. If we get anything else, it'll be a cat. I'd like to get a cat maybe in like the next 5 years. I want to get another one before Rue passes away. Just because I do. I couldn't ever imagine not having a cat, because I've had cats from when I was born. I've never not had one. So another feline, maybe a boy, I don't know. Yeah, but no, we'll definitely stick to the 2 children and just have more cats. And then finally, I'm going to end off with something that can hopefully keep, oh yes, did you hear me talking about felines? Did you hear me talking about other felines? She would hate it. She would absolutely hate having another cat. Hey? Honestly, I love my cat too much. It's not normal how much I love my cat. And then finally, something that will hopefully keep you all entertained if you're struggling and wanting something to find to read. I got asked top 5 books. Honestly, you need a brush because you are molting. Bless you. Bless you. You're molting a lot. I've got fluff right up my nose. Top 5 books. That's a very, 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 very difficult thing for you to have asked because I read a lot of books and my battery's flashing now. Why? Right, let's put you down. So obviously, number 1, it's not even a shock to a lot of you, I can imagine. Page 2 in 5 years from now. Page 2 is my favourite author. I've decided that after looking at my bookshelf for a very long time. You're very excited today. After looking at my bookshelf for a long time, I've come to the conclusion that she is my fave. She is the one that I recommend to all the time when someone's like, I want a good chick lit to get into. I'm like, this one, my friend, this will make you and break you. One of the best books I've ever read in my life. It's about 2 people that come together because their parents get together, and they then separate. But the 2 children at the time, they still flit in and out of each other's lives. It's set like in 5 years time, so it starts when they're 5 years old and then it jumps every 5 years. So you've seen them grow from young children up to when they're 40. I think it's been a year and a half, 2 years since I read it. Oh my god, it's been 2 years since I read this book. Yes, so you just see them adapt and evolve, and it's so beautifully executed and I just loved it. It's not a very big book, but all the emotions and everything packs a punch in this, and I loved it. I was an absolute heap on the floor, and it's just one of the best books I've ever read and I loved it so much. The next one, again, is going to be no surprise to you, and that is the After. Not just this book, the whole After series itself. It's like a 5-book series, technically 4, but then there's a prequel, which comes before this. Yeah, it's just the best. If you like sort of like young adult, or not young adult, new adult, like, I can't even explain it. Toxic relationship in here. Bad boy, good girl. So much drama. So much passion. So many twists and turns. So many emotions. Just everything in a book. I love it when you guys read it and then you message me and you're like, oh my god, I'm halfway through After. I can't believe I've waited this long to read it. And I'm like, nah, I told you so. I told you it was good. Yeah, it just makes me, look at me. It just makes me so happy. I love this book. It destroyed me. It made me on an emotional roller coaster, and I think you know that it's one of your favourite books when someone asks for a recommendation and you just always go to this, like the ones that I'm now talking about. So After is on my top 5. Another one, a new edition, I guess is going to be no surprise to all of you. It's on my Kindle, and that is, bear with me, come on, come on, Normal People by Sally Rooney. So obviously I have just spoken about this, about the TV show. After watching the TV show and reading this, it's just, I need to sneeze. Oh, it's just a work of art, and I think it's one that will go with me for a very long time, and I don't feel like the book will ever age. I read some of my books that are like published in 2004, 3, early millennial, and they have dated, whereas I don't feel like normal people will age at all. And I think that's what makes it such a great book, is that I can't see it aging. I really want to try Conversations with Friends, which is her next one. It's not in a series, it's not her next one actually, it was her first one. And I really want to give that a go. Now that I know her writing style and how it's written, I need to read more. So yeah, I'm going with Normal People. And then I've got You're Currently Sat on One, so I'm not going to move it. I want to suggest and say that, again, I didn't want to just do chick lit because that would be quite boring. So sort of like a fantasy, it's not fantasy because I don't read it, but it's really hard to explain, and that's Scythe. Scythe is how it's pronounced, and that's how normally I say it, but I've got to remember that that's not correct. It's by Neil Shusterman, and it's about this society. It's like the world, but in the future. But it's not a sci-fi, and it's about, is it a dystopian? I don't know, but it's about the population. They don't die, and the only way you can die is if you get killed by these scythes, which is like a Grim Reaper, and you train to become them, and you have the ability to kill people, but you let them know. So they would go to someone, say 24 hours before, and say, you're going to die tomorrow, and they can pick the ways. If they want to have their head chopped off, that can happen. If they just want to have a lethal injection or a tablet or some weird death of like jumping out of a plane and falling to their death, like that can happen. And it's about how these two characters, male and female, are apprentices, and they learn how to do it, and they are trained. And it's a 3-book series. I haven't finished it yet, but book 1 and book 2 were epic. I'm going to reread them, not anytime soon, because I've got them in a paperback format, and at the moment I'm just reading on my Kindle because obviously night feeds and stuff, and having Florence in our room, I can't really have the light on. But if you can get your hands on it, whether it be ebook or physical copy, I'm definitely going to do a reread, and I will definitely document my thoughts and stuff as I read, because it was epic. And then finally, just a guilty pleasure of mine, which I always look back on and think of, they're in the conservatory, which is why I'm not showing them to you, and that is Kira Cass's The Selection series. I read that he was very young, so about I'd say 4 years ago, and I flew through them. They were brilliant, and they have just been picked up, but I want to say it's by Netflix. They've just been picked up, and I think they're definitely going to be turned into a film, but I don't know whether they're going to condense the 3 books into one long film, or whether it will be like a big thing like To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. The Selection is basically like The Bachelor / Bachelorette, like I've been talking about, but it's royalty. So there's a king, King Maxon, and he wants to find a bride, and the population is done in like a hierarchy. So you've got your 1s and your 2s, they're like the elite, they're like the high posh people, and then you've got, I can't remember what number it goes down to because it was a long time I read it, but they go down the scale. And the main girl, America, she is in the selection, but I want to say she's only in it for the money. I can't remember, but basically they want to win his heart, and she finds her way there. It's set over a 3-book time frame. You don't obviously know how it ends until the last one, and they're just great. They're quite light-hearted, but they're just a guilty pleasure, and I flew through them. Again, that's something I want to reread, hopefully this year, if not next year. They're just great, lovely books, and there's twists and turns. It's not too much. There's no like real like gritty sex stuff. It's not like explicit like it is in After. It's definitely more YA as opposed to new adult, but they're just great books. So hopefully I've given you something that you can read, and if you want something to read that I am recently reading, I am reading a really good book by, God, I've missed talking about books. It's crazy. I can't wait to be able to sit down and film more videos about books, because it's definitely a passion of mine, and the way that I want my channel to sort of go, I think. I'm currently reading Taylor Jenkins Reid. She wrote Daisy Jones and the Six. If you're into books, I'm sure you would have heard and seen that float around last year, year before. This one is One True Loves. This one here. I'm 55% through, and that is about, it's sort of chick lit, and that is about this woman called Emma, and she is married and her husband is on a helicopter and it crashes and he is presumed dead. She then moves on and meets someone else, and then her dead husband is not dead and he comes back after 3.5 years, and it's how she established a relationship with her husband from teenage to obviously getting married before he died, and then her establishing a new relationship with someone else, and then establishing the relationships when he comes back, and she doesn't know what to do because she's in love with 2 people. And yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. I will do another one. Hopefully I'll be able to sit down and film it like next week or so. I've really enjoyed sitting down just chatting. This is definitely the way that I like doing my content at the moment, as opposed to vlogs. I don't really get the urge to pick up my camera and film myself like parenting at the moment. I haven't done for quite a while. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I did it for such a long period of time, and that's just not really me anymore. And I don't like to say it because so many of you love my vlogs. I'll still be doing Vlogmas and I'll still do a vlog every now and then, but I'm not going to be vlogging as much. I'm sort of taking a step back. Aren't I, my woman? Yes. So I'm going to sign off and parent and have my lunch and just get through the day. But I hope you all really enjoyed this video. I will try and get it edited and get it up soon. I'm sorry it takes me so long, but as you can imagine, it's hard. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Hey Florence, can we say bye-bye? What is that? What is it?